there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time to be quiet, a time to sing, a time to get drunk, a time to stay sober. There's probably time to work out that everything will kill you. And sometimes if you laugh too much, it's gonna make you cry. Oh, you're really, really happy. You're always really high. Everything in moderation, and one thing at a time. 'Cause it's never been a secret what the drugs do to your mind. And just 'cause I've got a song about MDMA, but that don't mean that I think you should take it every day. I'm glad that the children of Bedford like my songs. I hope they don't interpret them wrong and start doing it for the thrill, forgetting about the fun and end up getting lost in the danger of.
Hello, Happy. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I'm just getting some shares out there at the moment before I actually get going.
We'd all go down the steps at the park. That's where I
Trying
learned
to
to
get everything
spin up.
figured out
And
here
then I
too.
started building lungs and pipes and
Bear
lungs
with me,
like
of course.
schools and plastic bowls and carrier bags, squares and tinfoil. I used to love the way it made me think and feel and giggle.
Got the music on, rocking out to the tunes beforehand, of course.
Some drugs lead to hard drugs. I guess that might be true. 'Cause a year or so later, I was on speed too. We'd go around Craig's brother's house every Friday night, chipping for a gram and talking till the sunrise. I never forget the taste of my
Hello,
first
everyone. Thanks for coming. Just getting the word out there. Hit that, hit that heart button, guys. Share it if you can. Get the word out. Let's get the word out. Gonna start soon. A couple minutes. I'll get serious with it. But thank you, everyone, for the love. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Thank you for being here. My first live mute show. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Bear with me as it is my first time doing this way. So it'll be a learning process for myself along with you guys. We'll find our groove. We got this, guys. We absolutely got this. Thank, thank you guys. Thank you for sharing it. Appreciate it, everyone, for coming by.
When the fundamental things in society are wrong, it's a really good time for a protest song. The world as we know it is breaking at the seams, and people are united and take it to the streets to say they're bored of the greed, bored of the corruption, and of a lie that's.
Thank you, Jax. Thank you so much. Appreciate it so much.
She said the change is gonna come. It won't take long. It's a really good time for a protest song.
Hey, V8. Good to see you. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks for coming, Zen. I see you're here. Welcome, everyone.
That's the only thing that would ever make me happy. If written in me when I was a child. Money makes the world go round, so we're here today to stop the world turning and introduce a new way of thinking with people over profit, love over greed. Raise your hands,
Shake 'em with me.
and if enough of us turn up and join the fight, we change the
The
world.
world tonight.
Oh, when globalization means that everybody knows there's a protest happening all around the world. It's not just us, it's not just me.
I know you guys can't see it, but I'm currently playing air guitar to it, rocking right out. Love this song. Appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you for the love, guys. I really appreciate it. You guys are really going crazy with that love, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hit that button, guys. Let people know we're here. Let me know. Let people know that I'm here. And we'll get started here in a minute or two. Thank you, Absorb. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Not gonna lie, I am really nervous, but gonna do my best for you guys, and hopefully we can all move forward and get more information out there and get the movement moving more.
tonight.
We'll change the world tonight, guys. It's Sunday. We made it through the week. That's how I've been looking at it. We've absolutely made it through another week of the chaos that is Canadian politics, the world at large, and everything going on, of course, around the world. So, here we are. My first news live, guys. I really appreciate all the love. Really appreciate it. Everyone, thank you for coming out. I see a lot of familiar faces, guys, and I really appreciate the love and support from all of you. Uh, and looks like some new faces, so I appreciate that as well. Thanks for coming out, guys. Again, this is my first news live, so there's probably going to be some bumps in the road, but we're here. So here we are. Ah, babe, thank you. Thank you. I love you. Brenda, my girlfriend, we live together. She's watching. Sent me some hearts. I really appreciate it, babe. Love you. And thank you for putting up for with my nonsense. But here we are, guys. All right. Welcome to the Progressive Moose News. Really appreciate it, everyone. So I don't know how the format's going to go moving forward, but I know I've kind of got some news stories here to share with you guys. I think are some of the most important to get the message out there, get the information out there. Um, so I'm gonna have those. I also have some election dates, election information. Um, I've got yeah, and at the end, definitely get into more of a conversation. I'll have people come up and we can discuss, if you're interested, the current state of affairs in the federal parliament right now. Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to the whole thing, guys. So feel free to comment as we go along. I will do my best to pay attention to the comments as we go. And of course, later on, when we get into more of a conversation um, setup, if there's anything that you have to add to anything that's been talked about, by all means, please come up and add your information. If you're from the area, if you know more of the information, because it has to do with something in your community or stuff like that, by all means, come on up. I want to hear from you. I want to know. You guys are the boots on the ground, so let's all work together on that one. So, my first story for today. Um, I took this one, and I'm going to do my best, guys. Before I actually get into it, I do want to do my best to make sure I highlight some Indigenous news stories every week, at least one, because if it's happening to one, it's happening to us all, and we need to stand with our Indigenous brothers and sisters and be there to advocate for them, inform people of what's going on, and make sure we're informed better on what's going on so we can be there with them to help support them and be there for them through their fights. That being said, first story, I will say most of my information here on this one I did get from APTN National News, but the families of Black Indigenous peoples were in Parliament Hill Tuesday. They were calling for a public inquiry because of, as we all know, I'm sure, between August 29th and September 18th this year, 20-day period, a total of 9 Indigenous peoples died following interactions with police forces across Canada, leading again, I emphasize again, so much for the calls for more oversight for the RCMP and other police forces across Canada. Um, so for breakdown on that, you guys, 8 males and 1 female. Um, 2 died in control police or in hospital later after their interactions. Uh, 5 were shot, and 2 were run over by police cruisers. And I'm just gonna quickly, like, guys, they were run over by police cruisers. That's that. No more needs to be said at this point. What led to this? In all honesty, what leads to this, and what makes people think that this is okay in any way, shape, or form? I do not understand it. Okay, I really don't. Um, so sorry, guys. I will kind of go off like that a little bit. I apologize for that. But back into it. Laura Holland, mother of Jared, who was killed by RCMP in Campbell River, British Columbia on July 8th, 2021. Laura stresses that right now it's a state of emergency for Indigenous people, and it feels like no one is listening. How many different causes or how many different issues do we have right now that the Indigenous are literally screaming at the rest of us at the top of their lungs, and no one's listening? I mean, we all are, of course. But the people in power, the people that can actually do more to change things and make things better, those in government, those at the top, they're not listening on any of it, you guys. They really aren't. And I strongly agree with that. They are nobody's listening that can do their jobs and make a difference. She also urges for people to stand up and stand with the Indigenous people. And again, here we are, guys. Hopefully, everyone here absolutely stands with our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and hopefully, we can amplify that call, amplify that message. I recently shared a missing woman from, I believe it is Manitoulin Island here in Ontario, on my TikTok. If you haven't seen it, please go look, uh, share it, get the face out there, get the message out there. Too many times people are going missing and nothing happens. Um, so definitely more of a heart wrenching one, guys. But definitely felt it was necessary to get the message out there and let people know that these families were on Parliament Hill, and they still, after how many years, are still yelling, are still crying out for help from the government, help from the people that can make a difference. And it falls on deaf ears. So, keep 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 updated on that one. I'll do my best to keep you guys updated as I can on that stuff. Um, it's definitely one to keep up to date with and make sure you keep with it. Um, yeah. So with that, I will move with another more indigenous based topic, but definitely on the lighter side, in my opinion. So shifting to Manitoba. On Thursday, October 24th, Wab Canoe gave an update on the search for the remains of two victims, Morgan Harris and Mercedes uh, Myron, I believe. I apologize if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Um, but they were victims of a serial killer, Jeremy Skibicki, are believed to have been taken to that Prairie Green landfill. Premier Canoe added that power lines have been run and connected for the operation of the search, as well as another road created for more and better access to the site. So definitely two important things, and I'm sure there's other infrastructures that have been put in place as well as they move forward. Um, and I did hear, I believe it was the same press conference. They did talk about how they are now training people in how to go about handling everything and you know just all that aspect of it for safety precautions. Because I mean, it is a landfill. You're dealing with bio waste in some cases, right? So absolutely. So worker safety in that sense is absolutely important. So people are being trained. They're definitely putting the work into it, guys. It hasn't fallen to the wayside. Um, so to continue with it, it's been 2 years that there has been advocacy for the search of the landfill, as Skibicki was convicted of first-degree murder of two other Indigenous women, Rebecca, whose remains were found in a different landfill near the city, and another unidentified woman who has been named Buffalo Woman by the Indigenous community. They There is actually an Indigenous name, so I apologize. I didn't want to try and butcher saying it, so that's why I just stuck with Buffalo Woman. But the translation for English, guys. I just didn't want to butcher trying to say it properly. So uh, yeah, and the premier, among other sentiment, conveyed the message to all Manitobans that if you go missing, they will go looking for you. And I think it's definitely important that he absolutely said that out loud right then and there, and it really does speak to his character. It speaks to the person that he is, with everything that he's done in Manitoba, continues to do, and like the guy has been doing fantastic for Manitoba. So credit where credit's due for Premier Rob Canoe, and hopefully he moves forward and we continue to see good things. Um, yeah. So the search at this point, I believe, if I have it here, it does say that it is scheduled to actually begin the search in December of this year. So, guys, it's coming. 2 more months, 2 more months, and the search will start. They also the I believe they were saying that loaders had already started to kind of scrape away at the top of the pile where they're going to be searching. So they have started to kind of move things around a bit on the surface. They've got kind of search areas mapped out and everything. So they really have been putting a lot of work into it, guys. Um, I know, I know it's been a while. It's been a long time that they've been talking about it and putting time and effort into it and money, but it's coming. It's getting close. So definitely good story, definitely good news on that front. Again, everyone, please take the time, take the effort to learn and talk to our Indigenous brothers and sisters. Okay, and take the time to learn and educate yourself on the struggles and what they face. Because again, I said it right at the beginning, and I'll say it again. What one goes through, we all go through. So we have to be there for one another. So that includes all this stuff. Okay. Don't push it to the wayside. Don't think it's less important. I know we don't hear much about it in mainstream news or media in that sense, but it's definitely still stuff that is happening, and we need to get the information and get the message out there. So keep that in mind. Appreciate it, guys. Um, Hopefully, I'm doing all right so far. Uh, in election news, I wanted to make a bit of a point to talk about that stuff, as there has been and will be elections across the country. New Brunswick did have their election on October 21st. Wow, guys, I appreciate all the love. I really, truly do. I just got some sort of noise there. I don't know what it was, but something fantastic just happened. I really appreciate it. Um, New Brunswick, October 21st was their election. The Liberals pull out a majority government in New Brunswick with 31 seats for the Liberals, 16 for the Conservative Party, and 2 for the Green. BC elections. That's been the biggest one in the country right now, guys, especially in the news, given its situation. It was on October 19th, and they still, as of today, don't have a clear end to it or clear numbers, as they're still counting. Um, some of the ridings, it sounds like, is pretty close, and because there's still absentee ballots to count uh, and mail-in ballots, it might flip. So there are some out there, but as it stands right now, the latest numbers that I've got, and I made sure I double checked, I triple checked today, guys. I checked right before coming back into the office area here to do this. Um, so as it sits, NDP has 46 seats, Conservative Party has 45 seats, and Green has two. So if that ends up being the case, and again, it's not done, that could change. Um, so fingers crossed. Um, there is even possibility of the NDP, I guess, might still be able to squeak out a majority. Um, so it's definitely interesting, guys. We'll see what happens there. But as it sits right now, if this is the numbers, so the NDP 46, Conservative Party 45, and Green 2, a lot of people probably haven't thought about this or are going to think about this. With the Green Party having two seats, and I realize I'm pretty sure they went down a seat. If I'm not mistaken, if I am mistaken, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure they lost a seat on this one. But even still, with the two seats, they have a massive amount of power. Because if this is going to be the makeup of it, the 46, 45, and 2, they're going to have a lot of power. It's almost the same as like the NDP on a federal level, where really the liberals need them to get things through, right? So that's what it's going to end up being if this ends up being the final numbers. And I think it's good because you kind of have now you would have the NDP and the Green Party essentially working together, hopefully get some conservatives to vote for good stuff as well. But it's two progressive parties, and at the end of the day, Green Party kind of has a huge amount of power in their hands, even with those two seats. Again, that's if the numbers stay the same as they are right now. Apologize, guys. So Saskatchewan election is coming up, I believe tomorrow. Yeah, the 28th, October 28th, tomorrow. So if you're in Saskatchewan tomorrow, do your duty and go vote. Please go vote if you can. I realize in some cases it's hard depending where you are, polling station, um, all that stuff. But please, please go vote if you can. It's needed. Right now, so of course there's no numbers on who's got seats, who doesn't, yada yada yada, right? But polls are showing that as of right now, the NDP has 49% of support. 48% goes to the Sask Party, and 4% will vote other. So that sounds like it's going to be another tight one, guys. We might have to hang on tight for that one. Might end up being another one like BC, by the sounds of it. If the polls are correct, again, polls aren't always right. Hell, they're normally never right. They've been close, but never really right. So another close one, though. And I will honestly say everything that I've seen, it sounds like Saskatchewan residents are actually ready for a change. Um, do I see it actually coming in 2024? Depending who gets elected, of course, we'll have to see what happens there. But even with a new government, it's still going to be hard pressed to see much change in 2024. But um, where we are in the year, 2025 is right there. So hopefully 2025, depending on the makeup of their provincial government at the time, guys. And of course, November 5th, the U.S. federal election. That is a big one. I do want to make sure I mention it because, yes, we are in Canada, but being in Canada, we are absolutely affected by the American elections. Um, I mean, if if you pay attention to American stuff, you know what Trump's idea is in terms of tariffs. His dealings with Canada, how he wants to do things that way. It's definitely not good for us, and it's not good for really a lot of their trade partners. So hang on your butts for that one. on November 5th, guys. I will be watching intently and hopefully get some updates for you on that when we get closer. Right now, it's pretty, depending where you look for your numbers on the polling right now, it's another close one. You've got some saying that Trump has, 3, 4 point lead. Harris has a couple point lead here or there, but it's all over the place. So it's a close race for them. So they're seeing the same stuff, but fingers crossed for them down there, guys. I definitely don't want to see Trump, but yeah, I still don't see how he's even a question at this point in terms of being a leader, to be honest. Okay, so going on to the next story that I have, we are going to look at Alberta, guys, because Albertans, Albertans, I applaud you right now. I really do, because I think we all kind of have a stereotype of most Albertans right now. Okay. I say most, and again, that's a stereotype. Okay. So I apologize in advance for that. I think a lot of us are on the same boat, but you guys really showed up this week. So hats off to the Albertan people. With that, guys, more than 4,000 public school support workers walked off the job Thursday after they planned to strike, but the Alberta government appointed a dispute inquiry board to force the workers to continue working while mediation continues. Oh man, I'm gonna wait till the end to actually break this stuff down because I've got a lot to say on even just that part right there. Um, Being that I live in Ontario and that was 2 or 3 years when we had our QP strike. I was on the front line here in my small community. I was out on the line with them protesting. Of course, I stand with them today. I stand with the ones in Alberta. Um, so, to which concerns over if the walkout was legal because the government decided to mandate continuing to work instead of the strike. Guys, I worded it that way, and I realized like that this is how it's going to be worded everywhere. So that's kind of how I kind of wanted to put it. Um, but yeah, again, let's continue. We'll get more into it after. The workers affected are a part of the QP union, the biggest union in Canada. A spokesperson from the union commented that they will be there for and with the workers, which is fantastic. And I can tell you right now, guys, when QP says that, they mean it. Again, we saw it here in Ontario with our QP workers. And look what happened with that, guys. Like Doug Ford and his government tried to suppress that stuff so bad to the point where like stuff got unconstitutional essentially. Like it went against the charters. And you know what QP did when we did that in Ontario? They gave Doug Ford the big middle finger, for lack of better words. And I'm glad they did. And I hope these workers do the same thing. Okay, I really, really do, because this whole suppression of the right to strike is nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. You cannot do this to workers. That is a fundamental right that is in our Charter of Rights. We saw it in Ontario. Alberta's seeing it right now. So if you're in Alberta, support these workers. You know, um, make sure they know. Make sure your government knows they can't do that. Okay, there's overwhelming support for these workers right now in Alberta, and again, QP. They're the leaders in unions right now, and I'm telling you right now, they're on board. It's going to end up being like in Ontario, and the government's going to have to budge. They really are going to have to, guys. Um, yeah, sorry, another offshoot there, but these workers that did this, on average, make 28,000 a year at this point. 28,000 a year, guys, in Canada at this point in time. Um, and the workers are asking for a minimum of 40,000 a year, which, if you're not aware, I will clarify to make sure that you know um, that the poverty line in Canada right now is actually set at $40,000 a year. 40,000 and under is where the poverty line is right now in Canada, right? So if these workers are making $28,000 a year, they're not even three quarters of the way out of the poverty line, right? So living wage, guys. I mean, it only makes sense. That's why they're asking for it. Yes, it's a big jump, but like, would you expect would it be okay to pay anyone else a starvation wage at this point? Like, it doesn't matter who it is. You need to be able to support yourself, your family, and you know, paying somebody $28,000 a year, that's starvation wages right there in today's economics, in today's world. Okay, so they're asking for 40,000 a year minimum, which is absolutely, it's not out of the question at all. I mean, if you follow Alberta politics, they're just Alberta's Alberta. I, that's all I could really say, like, without going on forever about that. So QP workers were joined for other activists and government workers, including nurses, that are very vocal in their messaging that the Alberta government is being unfair to working people. Others note that the Conservative government in Alberta are using scare and strong arm tactics by taking away the workers' right to strike. Again, that's key right there. You're taking away the fundamental right, something that's in our charter right to strike. Um, so I don't understand how conservative governments on a provincial level continue to think they can get away with this, um, and think it's just going to be okay. Um, yeah, most classes and the students have not been affected, but QP apologizes to those that are affected. Those that, sorry, those that are being affected. Um, but in public opinion right now, it shows that even parents and the people of Alberta are strongly with the workers in this case. So again, just like we saw in Ontario in the last couple of years, there, people are with the workers. I mean, if we can't stand with other people and making a living wage, while we making a living wage, I mean, come on. So everyone's standing with them. Thank you. All these workers in Alberta, I really think it's great to actually see something like this happen, with all the different activists and all the different groups that did go out to protest with these workers. It really showed solidarity across the board. And guys, we saw it in Ontario again, and we're seeing it now in Alberta. We are getting closer and closer, and we are getting the closest we've been to a general strike in years, so many years. And it's time. It's time for a generalized strike. The people have the power right now. We really do, especially when we stand together like the workers in Alberta have with this stuff, right? So, I mean, keep keep spreading the message on this one, guys, in Alberta. Make sure Canada knows what's going on in Alberta. Okay? We gotta stand with these workers across Canada, like we have with other strikes going on, right? The number of strikes and the number of work actions has been increasing in, since what, I think like 2019, 2018. I saw there was a bit of a dip, but then once like 2021 hit, it kind of started going back up again, right? So there's so much more work or movement within the workers, um, organized labor. So we have to keep that moving forward, guys. Um, we really do. Education Minister of Alberta made a statement saying that I'm very disappointed in QP has chosen what it seems to be an illegal protest in hopes they will continue to work while negotiations are ongoing. All right, so back to that illegal, even the education minister of Alberta and other people in the Alberta government have been saying that this is an illegal protest. But again, I mean, you could debate that for hours in terms of legality, especially when the government itself is essentially taking your right away to strike. Um, and call a spade a spade. Look at the federal government, right? The federal government's been doing the same with workers. They did it with the rail workers, um, legislating them to work when they wanted to strike. Um, so like we got to call out the liberals for this shit as well. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. They're doing the same stuff. Um, so you know, we're seeing it across the board. We're seeing it from all governments. Sorry, I had to wet the whistle there. Yeah, so we're seeing it across the board, guys. We're seeing workers are starting to stand up together more. We're starting to stand in solidarity more with each other. And governments on all levels, all parties, really, at this point. The only ones I can say I can't remember hearing anything from NDPs in terms of legislating workers back to work. Um, but I mean, conservative and liberals, they both have done it and will continue to do it because they are both right of center at this point. Or, I mean, you could say um, liberals are center, I guess, but I mean, they're definitely not left as a lot of people try to claim. So, with that being said, guys, if you have anything to add to anything that I've brought up tonight, please send me a guest request, and I'll have you up. You can say what you want to add if you have anything to add in that sense. I'm down to talk about the federal government right now as well and the nonsense that is going on there and our federal politics. Um, if you're not aware, it's been essentially a stalemate. Parliament has been paralyzed by the conservatives. Um, they've been screaming for the documents. They've been screaming for the liberals to share the information. The RCMP has already come out, and other people have come out and said them sharing that information publicly would not help. And the RCMP doesn't need that information, and it would actually hurt the investigation if Parliament were to hand over those documents because they would be inadmissible. So there's that. The Conservative Party wanted to take it to committee, um, so they made a motion to put it to committee, and now they're filibustering. So the motion, so it can actually be voted on to go to committee. They're just holding everything up. There is legislation and there is policy that wants to come through down the tube, um, but is being held up. And again, I mean, this is the conservative tactic at this point, right? Because we've seen it before. Remember, right before last Christmas, Pierre Poilievre made the promise that they were going to filibuster the Parliament in protest. Um, and I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what the policy or legislation was, but they were filibustering. Um, so he's tried to do it before, and it failed. Right, last time it absolutely failed. They didn't even try. They said they were going to do it for you. He didn't even show up to Parliament, and it didn't happen. But it's essentially the same stuff. It's paralyzing things from actually getting done to help us, the people. Because there is different things in the works right now that's supposed to be coming down to us, but hasn't had a chance to at this point. Yeah. Hello, absorbed.
No, great job. Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Pierre Poilievre did promise us that to filibust, and that is
Yeah.
literally what he's doing, especially with the non-confident votes. He knows very well he will never pass a non-confidence vote in the government we have today. He is just wasting time. And that is a disservice to his party as well as all Canadians, because I'm sure there are conservatives who do have bills they would like to pass that are actually not bad bills. And when
Yep.
he wastes a whole day when conservative bills are to come up on a fucking non-confidence vote, he's wasting our time, their time, and everyone's taxpayer
Yep.
money.
No,
Every time.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's tied with his security clearance, right? And that's part
Yeah.
of the problem is he refuses to get the clearance because then he couldn't sit there and scream about, the
Right.
nonsense that he does on it. Because as soon as he gets his clearance and can read that stuff, then he can't speak a word of what he's seen.
Right. And ignorance is bliss, right? If he doesn't
Absolutely.
know who of his part, it doesn't matter whether he knows it liberal or not. Justin knows who in his party is a problem, right? If he doesn't know who's a problem in his party, he doesn't have to get rid of them. And that's his job as the party leader,
Absolutely.
right?
And exactly, because if he has to do that sort of thing, then it makes it show like he doesn't have control over his party.
Right.
Which is exactly why their
Which he
last leader
doesn't.
got kicked out because he couldn't keep control of his party, right? So, um,
That seems to
yeah,
be
no,
a
absolutely.
historical thing for conservative leaders. They have no control over their party. They haven't in my lifetime, I feel like.
Yeah, no,
Maybe no, even
absolutely.
Harper didn't have control,
No,
right? Like
no, he didn't.
none of them
Absolutely
do.
not. And to to go to the other side though, I mean, even the liberals right now, with everything, right? Because in all honesty, like I've never been a fan of Justin Trudeau. The
Right.
liberals, they're I mean, they're okay. I've been very open. Like they're definitely right of center, and they're just I
Mm-hmm.
don't vote for them. Have we gotten some good things from the liberals? Absolutely. Um, is some of that in more recent
Due to
years because of
NDP.
exactly. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, the liberals have done good stuff, but we're still not going to see more than crumbs from them, right?
Right.
And Justin
I
Trudeau
agree.
at, at this point, he just does not have the public confidence. He doesn't have Canadian confidence. He's lost that, and it's honestly voter fatigue, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's Polyev, whether it's Trudeau, even at this point with Singh, it's voter
Yep.
fatigue. We're tired of hearing all the same stuff and
Well,
not actually getting anything.
right. And we're kind of tired of the games, the manipulation, the games, the misinformation, the disinformation. It's not just our government; it's just everything that's thrown at us on social media, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm tired. I know you're tired, right?
Oh
We're
yeah.
tired of like fixing the disinformation. We're tired of just the BS. You know, every day you wake up, I bet like me, you're like, I don't want to read the news. I don't. I don't want to deal with it anymore, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's not yeah, it's a lot. It's a fucking lot.
No, absolutely.
Um
And I really, you know what? And Brenda's here, and I see she's chatting. Guys, she got me this sign. Fucking awesome. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. I did say it, babe. I love you. Um, but so yeah, I lost my point now. Shit, I squirreled.
I
Um,
we kind of yeah. I scrolled you too because I brought in more things like disinformation and misinformation.
well, and that's part of, I think that's where I was going with it, and that's part of the problem too, right? Because yes, um, I understand that we have our own system and it works different from the American government and the systems. Absolutely, like the mechanisms and all the different branches, like everything's different,
Hmm.
but that's where we've seen, and I think we've talked about it before at different times, and I've talked with other people as well, where yes, we're going to have our own choices and go our own direction with things, but eventually what happens down the States happens here.
Happens here. And it
And
used to be 2 to 3 years, and now we're as quickly as 6 months.
yeah, well,
That's scary.
and that's the biggest thing, right? So here's a comparison that I definitely have kind of put at this point, because when you look at down there, so Joe Biden stepped down, making way for Kamala Harris. He
Yep.
didn't want to step down because of his ego, okay? And
Fair.
I think at this point, the discontent within the Liberal Party was started within the voters and crept up to the politicians, because the voters are the ones taking in the
Mm-hmm.
rhetoric. They're the ones taking in the American media. And at this point, again, everything, guys, you can follow the trails. You watch what happens down the States. Just go and watch what's happening down the States and keep an eye on, remember that shit, because
Mm-hmm.
like me and Azorb said, it comes down the pipeline. So now we're having this conversation of how Justin Trudeau should step down. I agree. I think he should. He's played out his stuff. He's played his cards. He doesn't have any left. It's time to pack up and leave the game.
And I'm in disagreement with Moose by this, by the way. For the righties who think we all agree with everything, I actually don't vote Justin, by the way, for saying that.
Yep.
I actually don't think he should step down. I think it's a big mistake for the Liberal government. The next person, like, it's going to be a woman, because it always is in a failed government. They always put a woman up next. And then it just proves that women can't run the country, right? It's misogyny, it's set up, it's on purpose,
Yes.
right?
No.
Like,
No. And you're right on that. Absolutely. I just find at this point, like
I think it's dangerous.
anything that the liberals do at this point isn't gonna help much,
Right.
right?
I don't
Because
think
of
it
the
is.
way the misinformation and the rhetoric is.
Mm-hmm.
Example being, voters will bitch about, sorry about my language, but they will bitch about the Liberal Party not helping with the cost of living, and then turn around and say, "How dare they pay for my kids' lunches?"
Right.
You know, and this is where
That
I'm
one
kind of like,
shocked
guys,
me.
like they're paying for your kids' lunches. So if you don't have the money to pay for lunches, guess what? It's paid for. So guess
Right.
what? You're not having to buy anymore. Your kids' lunches.
Yeah, this one shocked me because, like, we hear a lot on the interwebs, the cost of food, and the cost of food is out of control.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no one can left or right, no one can disagree with that. The cost of food is out of control.
Yep.
So paying for lunches would alleviate that cost for you and your family. And if you've got 2, 3, 4 kids going to school, that's a lot of money. Like, I make lunches for 2 children, and I
Yeah.
know a lot of my money for food goes towards actually healthy lunches for my children. And that would definitely help out my family. 100%. Do we need that help? No, but it would help, and it would take a stress off in the household. And I think it would help everyone. Like, the only people who aren't going to notice it, obviously, are the 10 and 1%ers, right? I like to add the 10%ers now too. I don't just do the
Yeah.
1%ers anymore. Um,
Yeah. I've
they're
always
the
kind of
people,
went to the 10. Yeah.
right? They're the people who are not going to notice it, right? But upper middle class all the way down, they're absolutely going to see that. That is a bill. Sometimes it's 2 bills a month, that food. You are frozen, or am I frozen? Frozen, guys, me or him? I feel weird. Oops. Okay. He must have got a call. Okay. So, as I was saying, I'll just keep talking while he has his call. Um, it is weird that, okay, um, that I see middle class families and lower are like, I don't want to pay for other people's children's lunches. You shouldn't have had children if you can't pay for the lunches. We are the only G7 country in the world, obviously in the world, that seems redundant, that do not have free lunches for children at schools. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Bless me. Um, we are the only, like, the fact that we don't pay for it is silly to me, right? Sorry. Oh, he's back. There we go.
Hey, I was frozen. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm I'm here. I'm here, guys. Oh God.
I was just saying that we're the only G7 country who does not pay for lunches for our children. And that seems ridiculous to me that we have to supply lunches to our children.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so many different things, guys. Like when we look at the way things are here in Canada, we can absolutely, like, we always look at the States and think, like, well, you know what, we've got it a lot better. And in a lot of ways, we do.
Right.
But when you look at the overall in the world, like, there's
We can do
so many
better.
more countries that have more for the people and have things set up more for the people than we do. And so why are we leaving the bar where it is and not raising it to
Right.
what we see in other corners of the world?
Right.
Hello, guys. Thanks for coming out.
I'm Hey Moose, how's it going? God, I just got up, so I'm a little groggy. I was
All good.
arguing all night last night with Canadians with telling me that all Canadians support the orange Cheeto. I'm like, no, we don't. You don't speak for all Canadians. You speak for yourself.
Yeah,
I
no,
definitely
absolutely.
don't support the orange Cheeto. Definitely. Like, I would like to see that man behind bars. Truthfully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's where he
Hey,
fucking
Sassy.
belongs. Hey, Sass,
Yeah,
how's it
no,
He
going?
won't. He
absolutely.
won't go behind bars. They'll do the he's not well enough to be in jail thing.
He's not
Well,
But
well
you
enough
know
to
what?
run
But
for
they've kind of got a
office.
point.
he isn't well enough to be in jail. That's truthful. It is
No,
true.
like,
He's not well
but
enough
And
to
I
be in
just
jail, but
saw a
he's definitely
poll.
not well enough. He's not well enough to be in office either.
It's
And
true.
that's what scares me.
no, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And I have that
Oh,
conversation with so
excuse
many
me.
different people. Um, I've had the conversation probably 100 times in terms of that. Like when we look down there from up here and we see everything that Trump has partaken in and has done. I mean, the guy has literally been found guilty in civil
A
court.
rival.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? So, I mean, this stuff is like, it's right there, guys. Like, it's blatantly
In
in front of your
front of
face.
your face.
Do you know that he's actually going to be prosecuted again
Oh, he'll
for
spend.
electoral interference because Elon Musk is now paying everybody doing the free lottery thing where
I
they pay in
know,
and all the money they get is goes to his campaign or something?
yeah, so I do know that there has been talk of that, what Elon Musk is doing being against election laws because of his super PAC,
Yeah.
and how it's
Wow.
connected. So, I mean, brace for impact on that one. There might be stuff coming down the tube. Um, but
I
yeah,
want to go
no.
round and round with Vance and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, buddy? Like, who dropped you? Who hurt you?
Chaos, how you
Like,
doing?
How you doing, brother? How
you
are
know,
you?
Not
like
bad.
that's literally what I want to ask them.
Absolutely. No, I'm in the
Haas,
same
are
boat.
you in your car? You have a lot of feedback and you sound far away. I feel like you might be on a Bluetooth in your car. If you
Who,
turn the
me?
Bluetooth off and no, chaos. If you turn the Bluetooth off in your car and just use the mic on your phone, it'd be better.
I come out to have a cigarette and my fucking ashtray is dumped all over the place. So I'll
Yeah,
just
it
clean it
was
up
cool
later.
for me too, Doses. When I ate it, I was very sad. I have no more Halloween candy. It's gone. Children don't get any. Halloween is ruined because I ate the last Mars bar. Just so
Oh
everyone knows.
god.
So yeah, so
Amazon has a great sale.
oh oh on candy.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no
Okay.
such thing as sales up here.
Yeah.
What the
I
fuck
said
you say?
Amazon, sweetheart.
Thank
So
you, babe.
fun fact about chocolate.
Yeah.
Chocolate will go bad when it changes
Hmm.
from extreme temperatures. So I do not recommend having your chocolate mailed to you.
Noted.
Okay.
I
Noted.
do not. So yeah, you know when chocolate gets like the white dots on it or whatever, like
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
changes, like kind of goes cloudy. That's because it went
Hmm.
from like hot to cold to hot to cold, and the chocolate's no longer good. I
Okay.
used to work in a corner store.
Oh. Yeah. So basically, I literally just want to sit down with Vance, and then I want to sit down with my premier and be like, "Yo, what the fuck you doing? Because y'all don't know what the fuck you're doing. Y'all don't know how to run a fucking province or a country."
So okay, so here's a question for everyone, and I know I'm very strongly opinionated on this one. I think most of you probably heard it already. In terms of premieres, hands down for me, Wab Canoe's got to be the best at this point
Oh my
across
god.
country.
Absolutely,
He
absolutely. He should be prime minister.
See,
I
and
said what I
that's where
said.
I'll
I'm not
disagree.
apologizing.
That's where I'll disagree.
he
Only
needs more
for the simple
experience.
fact he does need more experience, but the
Hmm.
policies and the stuff that he's implementing, yes, there could be a way to do it on a federal, but he's more suited for provincial politics
Yeah, he's
because of
he's
the stuff that he wants.
he's going to make his
Yeah.
province a great province.
Jay's there. I had a
Well,
100%.
spray foam
if
out in my house.
nobody get if nobody gets Danielle Smith, I'm moving to Winnipeg. I'm not staying here. I'm not having that bitch put my life in danger.
Yeah, yeah, no, especially, I mean, I covered the workers movement in Alberta there this week, and I mean, other things we're seeing, if people are paying attention, you've got the healthcare going to, I believe it's like a Catholic healthcare system or something, um, and
Covenant
essentially,
Health is where they're switching it
I
to. Yeah.
can't
They're
yeah,
find
switching us
mute
to
people
Covenant Health.
today. Chaos,
Yes.
I'm going to need you to mute your mic. I need you to figure out your feedback. I have headphones on. It's very
And
loud.
it's hurting my ears. It's hurting my ears.
okay,
Eat up, dude.
I don't
That's,
know if it's an echo feedback or what is happening.
yeah, Chaos, you there?
yeah, I'm here, brother.
There you go. There's something going on. You got some feedback going on.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you sound like you're in like an electric fence or something.
My bad. I'll just get out and come back in.
Do you have headphones? Because I actually want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'll get out.
Yeah.
Sorry about the feedback.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
you're good.
you're okay.
Headphones usually solve the
Um,
issue.
Oh,
yeah,
I know. I
so
got that meme.
yeah, so now we're looking at in Alberta, they're talking about moving the healthcare to that like Catholic
Oh.
health
Yeah,
board or whatever it is.
Covenant Health. Yeah,
Yeah, and
Covenant Health.
essentially
I
they're
live in
saying
Alberta.
yeah, so they're saying that everything will still be available and the same as it was, but right within
Except,
their operating procedures, they do not offer abortion. So,
and
They do, but they're
really,
trying to. Hey, so Alberta does offer abortions, but Danielle Smith has implemented a 20-week ban. So they're starting at 20 weeks now, and they're going to start going down. That woman is going to kill me, or unalive me. Sorry, she
Catholics
will
don't
unalive
believe in
me.
abortion,
they don't
which is a
offer
big
any
I
problem.
know.
reproductive care. By the way, it's not just abortions,
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
they don't offer
absolutely. There is
anything.
more. Yeah. Um,
right? They don't offer IVF. They don't offer birth control. They don't offer any reproductive care,
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's what
hence,
scares me.
yeah. And this,
Abstinence, they offer abstinence.
they
yeah,
offer abstinence.
basically.
And
And we know
this
how
is
well that works.
exactly. And this is why we need the separation of church and state, right? Like that's hard boiled in there into the way we do things. So, um, it'll be interesting. I hope we see contention to it, and I hope we see
Yes, no
something, whether
raid
the
as well.
federal government challenges it or somebody challenges it in court, because I think it would be found to be unconstitutional in a lot of the cases with what's going on in Alberta at this point, right? So,
This is what PG was talking about. It says someone threw a beer at Trump. It's okay. It was a draft. He dodged it easily.
oh, there we go. I put it up for you. Through beer, Trump.
You know what's amazing about this Trump harassment is that they are Republicans. They are not Democrats harassing Trump. Like his own
Yeah.
people are turning on him.
Yeah, it's Republican registered voters that
Yep.
have been doing this stuff.
All
Absolutely.
three
I
assassin attempts, Republicans.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was three. I thought there was only two.
There's three now.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Well, their
You know, for people
party,
who love their guns, they sure can't aim well.
their party
Right.
is their party is becoming more and more divided.
Yeah.
Just like the Conservative Party in Canada is
Up here
becoming
in
more
Oh
and
Canada.
yeah,
more
we're
Yeah.
about to
divided.
split again.
Yeah, they're splitting again, and that's the thing, Sassy. Is I talked to an American woman yesterday on on an American panel, and she's like, "I'm voting for Trump," and I said, "So why are you women's rights? I want women to feel safe in women's spaces." I'm like, "Oh, so you're a transphobe? Got it. Thanks for saying the quiet parts out loud."
Yeah, pretty much. And I
Hi,
mean,
Nemesis.
look
Hello.
look how Polyev is too, right? Like it's essentially, I mean, I think a lot of us have used calling Polyev like tiny Trump, or, Trump light, or,
Right? Three
so
word
And
slogans.
and
yeah.
Interesting.
they can advertise it as being women being safe in women's only spaces. Women aren't even safe in their own homes, so they can shut the heck up.
Right?
Right, and that's the
Like
thing. I,
like it,
it makes me mad.
like this a couple years ago I was traveling and the person I was with went to the restroom, which was a woman's restroom, and she said, yeah, a guy walked in there with his 5 or 6 year old. And I said to her, I said, where was he supposed to go? It was
Right?
either the women's
Well,
restroom or the men's restroom.
see, my dad always took me to the restroom as a young lady, and he would go in. He'd have me at the door. He'd go in, and he'd check it out just to make sure there was no men peeing or anything like that. Then he would go put me in one of the stalls, or the only stall that was in there, and he would hold the door so that no man tried to come in. And that I think is what we need to implement. But we
Well,
also
in
need to
some
implement more
washrooms,
family bathrooms.
in some washrooms, the more open they are, the more safe they are.
Yep.
Right.
And if you're behind a door that's floor to ceiling, nobody can see you, nobody can get in. And if you walk out and you're in a public space where everyone can see you, because
Sure.
I don't think we care if people see us when we're washing our hands.
Nope.
But that's my only concern about the bathroom is someone's washing their hands. That's the only goddamn concern I got.
Yeah, wash your fucking hands, people.
And you
It's
know
not
what?
Yeah.
If
just
you
a
could see
man
what, if
problem, by the
ever,
way. You motherfuckers, while I'm on the toilet and I hear you don't wash your hands, women, I hear it. I'm judging you. Wash your hands.
Yeah,
I have to
I'm
ask you a
judging those.
question.
Yeah.
What is the sound of not washing your hands?
No water, just walk
Just
out.
no water. Just
Huh,
walk out.
I hear it.
fair enough.
it's
I'm
the
judging.
absence
I'm
of water.
judging.
It,
Judging,
hey,
judging.
I want to ask them all the panel and the host. Do you agree with me when I say that Pierre Polyev is the poison of this country?
I don't
I
think he's necessarily
I
the
think he's a
poison.
puppet. I think he's a puppet.
There.
I
Thank you, Sassy.
definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
He
So
is not the head of the snake.
no, I definitely
No.
would say he isn't the head of it, but he's the ah he's the
Almost as a
embodiment.
symptom.
Yeah,
No, okay,
exactly.
continue.
Yeah.
He's a symptom of the way the politics has gotten for the voters.
If they were poison ivy, he'd be that top leaf, but the roots,
Right.
he's
Right.
nowhere
Run
near.
deep.
Yeah,
Right?
Well,
because you
Who is
need,
the poison in this country then?
well,
I
it's
In your
honestly
honest
don't think
opinion.
he's intelligent enough.
so I wouldn't say that there's anyone actually being the poison in Canada. I think the way I look at it and I think I've got a proper kind of look on it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
You're
at this
wrong.
point,
You're wrong.
all right,
Thanks, Michael.
You're
Michael loves to
wrong.
hop right in there, man. I love you. But no, look at the media that, and we talked about this a little earlier in terms of Canadians taking so much American media,
Mhm,
and you end up seeing where the voters have the same issues because they're watching the American
mhm,
media. They end up being worried about the same issues. So because of that, then the politicians fall in line with the voters because they want their support,
mhm.
right? So the Conservative Party and all the different stands that they have at this point that are nonsensical are because they're just trying to do, you know, pander to their voter base and solidify their votes come election time.
Like we
I
have
That's
an issue.
my only counter to that statement would be, what about the IDU and the influence of the IDU in regards to
I was gonna
right
get to
wing
that.
conservatism across the world? Because the IDU
Yes,
is international in regards to its movement.
yeah.
yes.
No, and you're
I
right on
wasn't
that.
gonna specifically say IDU, but I was gonna say yes. A lot of our influence is in the United States. The cat litters in schools that started in the States. A lot of our misinformation and disinformation actually does come to the States. But on the other hand, we also have an issue with Russian bots, and now we're learning Indian bots as well, and Indian interference. Um,
Stephen
Yeah.
but
Harper's
I
still
have
very active as well, and he's not.
Well,
yes,
and that's exactly what I mean by
yes.
IDU is Stephen Harper.
Yeah.
IDU
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
for
can.
Stephen
Yeah,
Harper. So we have
we got
American
Harper still.
interference, and Happy will claim him and I have gone toe to toe on this one. Americans absolutely interfere with our elections.
Oh,
I will
absolutely.
stand hard on that one.
Absolutely. And
And
another,
now, and then
Absolutely.
IDU, because half of IDU is American.
What is the IDU again? I can't remember.
That's the Stephen Harper far right
Yeah, let me
like
look
super
collab.
him up
PAC
here.
kind of stuff.
It is, but they also do a lot of consulting and they've been doing a lot of think tanking. International
Yeah.
Democracy Union is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
hmm
As well, too, we need to remember about APAC, the Israeli super PAC
Yeah.
that
Right.
Oh
influences things
God.
around the world.
We have
Uh,
so much interference. It's way bigger than I think we can even comprehend,
Well,
right?
In Canada,
exactly.
it's not APAC. In Canada, you've got CIJA,
well,
What's
CIJA.
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
but it's essentially
doing the
the same
absolute same
pile.
thing. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Like,
See,
um,
I went into an American Live and I got blocked because they told me that there's no way Canada gets affected by the US politics. I
Yeah,
was like,
okay.
you've never heard of geopolitical influence or geopolitical anything?
It's
oh,
Like,
almost an American view
come
because it's not
on.
even just Canada. Every
The
country in the
American
world.
school system doesn't teach them geopolitics. It teaches them the United States.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know, Brenda. I totally agree. And I was on an American. I've been on American Live since the election has been counting down. And they're like, "How do you know so much about our country?" I'm like, "Because in 195 countries, we don't think we're the only fucking country out there. I'm sorry to say,
Yeah.
we learn about
Not even
everything."
that. Everything about the United States is exported. The image, the media.
Imported?
So yeah, everything in the United States is exported, particular of the image of the United States.
Yeah.
Oh,
Through
okay.
media, through
Yeah.
content, through music, you name it.
Yeah.
You could try to ignore and have an existence without involvement in the United States.
Hooray
Can't.
for Hollywood.
I'm going to
Hollywood's
debate
done
you on
this.
the media thing, Joe,
You'll
because
Okay.
lose.
every
He's correct.
American media is imported, often from Britain and Australia, and they try to pass it off as their own.
I'm not saying they
Like Orange is the
originated the
New Black.
ideas.
Orange
I'm
is the
not
New
saying,
Black
yeah.
is an original.
I'm not saying
No, but it was
they're
made
making
famous
original
by Hollywood.
content.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
Just a
saying
bunch
they're
and
of
making original
stealers.
content.
yeah, and I mean they're definitely
Colonizers
corporate.
to this
They're
day.
they're corporate funded too, right? So it's corporate
Mhm.
interest essentially is their bottom line. Um, no matter how they package things, that's essentially what they care about the most. Uh,
Yeah.
which is definitely, I mean, you see some of the corporate interests show within a Canadian media or news at times. You can absolutely see it, but I think
Oh yeah.
given the way our media is more set
Yeah.
up and funded, it's not as bad. It's more like, here's the facts, here's what happened, you know, like,
And I
Yeah,
just
that's
mean
just
fun
news,
media,
but
Joe.
media
Just
in
fun
general.
media.
yeah,
You know, the Beatles did not make it big until they made it into the United States and on the Ed Sullivan Show. They
Right.
were all
yeah,
over
Oh
Europe
wow.
already, right?
yeah,
Then they finally get to
That's
come to
true.
the United States, North America. They land in the U.S. and boom, the Beatles. So it is American media. It's the way they hype it.
That's true.
absolutely. And yes, Brenda, absolutely 100% agree with what you said.
It's even
Sorry, I
Canadian.
just
Like,
read it.
if we're gonna go by music media, even Canadian music media doesn't become popular until it becomes big in the States, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
there's so many Canadian bands who struggle until they get on American radio, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Right.
There you go. All right, guys. With that being said, I think I am going to wrap things up for tonight.
You did well.
I do appreciate
Okay.
everyone showing up. I appreciate the support.
Before we
Thank you.
go, can we just all agree that Elvis Presley started this whole problem?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, you know
Actually,
what?
there's
he
Him,
one.
stole
him and
all his
Tupac.
music, sure.
Him and Tupac.
I can go with that,
Hey.
There was
Michael.
one serious point I did want to bring up before we ended because I forgot to bring it up as I got up there,
Oh,
which was
absolutely. Yeah.
Justin Trudeau can't quit. Now, understand,
Yep.
I'm not a big Justin Trudeau fan, and I'm not speaking in regards to this. I'm not a big Liberal supporter, especially particularly now because, where our money's still going to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the reality is based on historics here. Any party who changes their leader before an election in Canada, at
Loses
least
the
the
next
past
election.
close to 100 years, never gets reelected.
Never get to reelected. No, you know what? And
Mm-hmm.
you're right on that. I definitely can't dispute that at all.
Yeah.
And that's where I use my nuance, right? Because like earlier, I had said it's one of those things where we do see the same stuff, but we do take our different paths. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, Joe Biden stepped
Yeah.
down. There's
One,
been the calls, and I think partially the calls up here are because of what happened down there with Joe Biden stepping down, right? So. Um,
Yeah.
They're going to
I've
look for that
What is
call,
never
that?
but
I've never voted for Justin, but as far as the world stage, it does not bother me that he represents Canada.
No, it
I
doesn't
think
he
he
deserves
does
bother
a
me.
theirs.
fine job on the international stage representing
Abs-
Canada.
Absolutely,
I agree.
and I agree with
Right.
that.
Joe, what does it mean when you say someone switched political parties, they never get reelected?
No, not switching
no,
political parties,
when they
switching
change the
leaders.
leader
Yeah.
Yeah,
before an
Oh, okay.
election, they are
Yeah.
never reelected in the next election.
yeah,
It
Yeah.
happened to
Mulroney,
Mulroney.
original Trudeau,
Kim
Mulroney,
Campbell.
yeah,
Even
Harper. I'm
provincial
sorry, not Harper.
didn't. Even
Chrétien.
provincial didn't
Campbell was
Dulcie McGuinty change his
Yes.
leadership before,
Yep.
and he lost. We ended up with a conservative government.
Yep.
Yeah, historically, if you change your leader within a year or two of an election, you will lose.
Even changing
awake?
the numbers around,
yeah.
I have yet to
Just one roll if
recall
you'd like.
somebody who did succeed,
So
Yeah,
or any
I
party to
don't
ever
has
recall one
anyone
succeed.
either.
Yeah. I think at this point for me, it's just one of those
I think
things where when you look at the polls and you look at the support that Justin has, it's honestly for me, it's hard to make a full argument on one way or the other on it because I mean support is so down for it. Again, there's voter fatigue because I mean we keep hearing the same shit from him, and I mean we're still just getting crumbs, right? So that's where at this point, yeah,
right.
you're right on the statistics of it, absolutely. But at the same time, can we really afford to keep moving forward with just
Yes,
continuing to
because
get the crumbs?
Justin
and I
Trudeau
don't
stepping
excuse
down
me, I don't disagree with
guarantees
that.
Pierre Poilievre as our next leader. It guarantees it, in my opinion.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
Nobody
does.
will take a
Guarantees
chance with the
it?
NDP. So,
That
and
won't
this is why
happen.
there's such a strong support with the Conservatives. Because again,
Too
half
many.
these people aren't necessarily voting because of the ideology they believe with Poilievre, because he's got no fucking ideologies. He's
Mhm.
got
Yeah.
no campaign. All he's got is statements. And that's
Right.
all they care about.
Three-word
He's got rhetoric.
slogans.
Something
And
different.
Three-word
misinformation.
slogans. God,
Yeah.
the uneducated
He's
women love their
uninformed.
three-word
He's
slogans.
misleading.
Mhm.
They do.
Yeah,
They would
I
love
just
them.
absolutely, and I mean even the
I just
liberals.
don't.
Oh, go ahead.
I just can't. I can't live here. I can't live with knowing Polyev might get in, and that's what scares me.
No, and I
Yep.
think that's we're seeing the same thing around the world right now in terms of the push towards more right wing governments or politics, right? And I think it's just that, for lack of better ways of putting it, it's the lay of the land right now. It's the climate when it
Hmm.
comes to politics around the world right now. So
Yeah.
And
This
it's
is a scary
unfortunately, even
election.
though he has zero charisma, Stephen
Oh my
Harper
God.
also had zero charisma,
Hmm. And how long
right?
was he in
So
power for? Too fucking long.
he way too
too
long.
long. Yeah,
Way too fucking long, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
and he had
election is scary.
zero charisma. People had an immediate distaste for him.
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
even his own voters didn't like him, but they still fucking voted him in,
Hmm.
right?
yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um, November 5th is important. It's extremely important to
yes.
Canada.
I
How
I will
that
be
election
watching
Yes, it
goes
is.
diligently.
decides our next election.
Yeah,
100%.
Okay, so about November 5th, before you head off,
Watch
Moose,
Parter worthy.
yep,
I'm worried, Joe.
there was a woman who was doing the polls, and she said, "Don't look at the polls because um, Harris doesn't need new voters. Trump needs new voters, and he's not getting the support he's needing because the Republicans are voting Harris." So they said that she just basically. I'll send the video out. I'll tag you in it,
Polls aren't
Joe, on
accurate to
YouTube,
begin with.
and right, exactly, and
Justin
that's cool.
Trudeau was
I'll
down in the
tag you and
polls
Moose in it.
every one of his elections.
yeah,
Yeah,
Polls said he would not win the last 3 elections. Here he is, still the leader of our country.
yeah,
yeah.
Polls are
right,
not
The
accurate.
exactly.
the
Polls are
only
done on
sorry, go ahead.
landlines. Polls are done on landlines. Raise your hand, other than Michael, if you have a landline.
It's true. Michael's old.
Yeah, right? Polls are done on landlines. This is why they're not accurate.
And here's the
And they're
really bad news: I don't
Okay.
pick up a landline.
so Michael
Oh,
doesn't
Okay,
join the
so
what is a
polls either.
landline anymore?
you know,
You know what?
if
But
you're not
even
calling my cell, you're not talking to me. So I'm not
Michael,
in a poll.
Even us young whippersnappers don't pick up our cell phones either, so you're good.
Right?
Oh, I answer my cell phone.
I
I don't
have
answer
never
my.
heard. I have not.
If
But
it's an
that being said,
online
I haven't
poll,
heard that in a
how many of
while.
you done an online poll? Because there are online polls now. But how many of you actually clicked the link and gone and done the poll?
Yeah,
Polls aren't
no, and
accurate.
that's exactly. Polls, they can be an indicator. Yeah, I'm not saying completely dismiss them, but yeah, in terms of accuracy, the polls are never right.
Right.
They will give you kind of the base understanding of what you can expect. Um,
Well, polls give you the
Yeah,
base
it's to give you a
understanding of
sense of
people who
direction of
click
what's going on.
links.
yeah,
A
They
really
give you a
big
base
problem with
understanding of
polls,
who answers their phones. That's
but
it.
they polls are statistics, and people do not generally understand stats.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's why
you
your
know,
explanation of it's a direction. It's not an accurate result.
Yeah.
yeah,
It shows you what people are responding to, what's going on.
absolutely. Alrighty,
Yeah.
guys. With that, I am gonna finish up here. Go probably turn on a
Enjoy.
movie with Brenda and just chill out.
I followed
So,
Brenda.
Okay,
I apologize,
I
all
Brenda.
followed
right,
Brenda
I
as
take it
well.
easy,
apologize
folks.
now.
there you go. You still
Yeah.
watching, babe? You are loved.
Yeah, but I apologize for all the shit show you're about to see.
All the
That is
shit
me.
show. There you go, guys. Have a good week. Beginning of the week. We made it through another one, so keep up the progress, guys.
Take care.
Enjoy,
Okay,
guys.
we'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.